Hi, my name's Rich Hanlon. I'm your Adirondack nature guide, and I'd like to give you a close-up look at one of the wild neighbors who has been a regular presence at the parking lot of the Adirondack Wildlife Refuge this week.
What you like?
Yellowbellied Sapsucker. You're welcome to come over and take a look at it through the spotting scope here. I have it set up to my camera, and it's actually a pretty amazing bird that lives in our area.
Is he up there right now?
And they're getting ready for migration. They're getting ready to head south. Some of them all the way down into South America.
That's awesome.
And so it's drilling some sap wells. As you'll take a look at the screen here, right now it's doing what birds do a lot of their time, which is clean themselves. It's grooming right now. But if you look just above it here on the right and on the left side, you see those little holes?
Yep.
Yellow-bellied sapsuckers make a grid of holes. It's kind of like we tap sugar maple trees to get the sap out. They're doing the same thing. They're tapping just deep enough to get under the bark to reach the sap flow. And so it's been drinking out of there. And if you use your eyes, look at the big picture. You've got this white birch tree, and if you use my binoculars, take a look from the base, work your way up to right where it splits into a Y. Just below that Y, you'll see a big sapsucker grid where it has tapped that tree there. It's going to go down there later. Right now it was drilling some new sap holes above it. So it'll work its way through a forest, revisiting the sap wells that it had already drilled. You might see some flies flying around those sap wells there.
Oh, no kidding.
That's the flies the sapsucker will drink the sap, but it'll also pick the flies and the other bugs that are attracted to the sap flow. And other birds will actually be attracted to that too. So it's benefiting not just itself, but other members of the forest community. One of my favorite experiences of watching a sapsucker at its sap well was it was early springtime, and I was watching the sapsucker do exactly it was drilling, and then it got chased away by a ruby-throated hummingbird, a bird much smaller than itself. Ruby-throated hummingbirds have a very early migration. It's kind of surprising that they show up before a lot of our wildflowers are blooming. Of course, hummingbirds need flowers for the nectar.
Right.
But they're also timing their migration with the sapsuckers. So sapsuckers are drilling holes in the trees to release the sap, and the ruby-throated hummingbirds have caught onto this, and so they will actually drink the sap from the trees that the sapsuckers have started. So I'm watching this. Ruby-throated hummingbird chases a sapsucker away, and I expect the hummingbird to come back. Instead, a third species of bird, a golden-crowned kinglet, shows up, an insectivore. Right? It shows up at the sap wells and proceeds to eat the flies and the gnats that are flying around the sap holes. And so this bird, in drilling these sap wells in this tree, is benefiting not just itself, but other members of the avian community who are in need of a lot of nutrition right now, because they're getting ready to make their migration south. It's kind of like, I'd like to do that someday. Right. Spend the summer up here and the winter down where it's warm and tropical. Stop by and visit the refuge between 10 o'clock a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m. Thursday through Monday to visit the animals who live at the refuge and to enjoy the nature trails around the refuge. And if you're looking for a guided nature experience, either on the refuge trails or elsewhere in the Adirondacks, feel free to look me up by visiting my website, Wild Neighbors Nature Connection, at www.wnnc.net. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.